consequences and the mitigation of the risk of food security in the region. For GRTS News, I am Aji Amisise. The Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the International Diabetes Federation with support from a body called Health Interaction and Eli Lilly Diabetes, Thursday opened a two-day diabetes self-care training for nurses from health facilities in the Greater Banjul area. The IBUSU reports the capacity building effort comes amidst growing concerns over the alarming rate of deaths blamed on diabetes.
Is seen as a silent killer disease that is threatening the world's population, reportedly killing at least a person every 8 seconds. Caused by a high level of sugar in the body system, the disease is also recording more than 1 million amputations every year. It is against this background that the Gambia Diabetics Association, under the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, organized a day-long training on diabetics patients management and self-care for nurses from hospitals within the Greater Banjul area.
If you are not affected directly, you are affected indirectly. If you look at our wards today, most of the people who are dying are mainly from non-communicable diseases, of which diabetes is key, is number one. So getting people here to discuss on issues related to diabetes, I think we felt it very important, to be part of this very important meeting.
Dr. Mamadou Cham, Director of Medical Services, disclosed that out of the 340 million patients of the non-communicable disease, 80% of them are from developing countries due to the poor food available and lack of balanced diet.
Observe. You see, most of at the basic health facility, they don't think about these conditions. For them, this is the way they are inducted. They think all condition is malaria or pneumonia or others, forgetting that diabetes is. Before, diabetes was a disease of affluence, but now we are seeing this shift because this food most of the time are cheap food, and it's the poor go for those cheap foods. Like the fatty foods, the rich people may never go and buy the fatty most of the time, but the poor will go for it because that's what they can afford.
One Gambian who has contributed tremendously to the collection of the 1995 baseline data and currently serving as the Vice President of the Global Diabetes Federation is Dr. Aliu Gay. Dr. Gay, in his remarks, said the increase in the number of diabetics patients in the Gambia is alarming, pointing out that more than 30,000 Gambians are living with the disease. He warned that this figure will rise by 2020 if nothing much is done to address the issue.
A wall about diabetes, and Gambia has got an estimated prevalence nationally of 2.5%. What that means is that there are 30,000 Gambians with diabetes. And that is going to double. That is going to double by 2020. In the next 10 years, it will double. The reason why the world thought that they had 30 million people with diabetes is because China wasn't studied. Now that the result is out from China, China alone has got 90 million people with diabetes. So the global estimate for diabetes, as I am speaking now, is 385 million people around the world today have diabetes. And in 15 years, that's going to double. You'll have 700 million people. If nothing is done, in the next 10 years, you will have 700 million people. So we are sitting on a time bomb for disaster.
Mr. Saliu John, Secretary General of the Gambia Diabetes Association, implored the participants to make best use of the training since they deal directly with the patients.
Diabetes by itself is not a problem, but when neglected, the consequences can be there. That is when we talk of amputation, kidney failure, hypertension developing, and all that kind of thing. Now, my president, Dr. Aliu Gay, has a notion. To him, everybody is a diabetic, in the sense that you may not have it personally, but you may have a friend, a colleague, or a neighbor. So by equipping yourself with the knowledge of diabetes, you are able to help thousands of other people.
The world is acting now to the dangerous silent killer disease, and the Gambia is no exception in the crusade to fight this epidemic. Maribas Games, after representing the country in an overseas diabetics training program, is taking the lead in the anti-diabetics campaign. It is feared that the number of diabetics patients worldwide will rise to 760 million in 10 years' time. For Grts News, I am Debuso.
We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break. Welcome back. Libya's new government is trying to isolate and destroy all the small pockets of Gaddafi loyalists. Reports say anti-Gaddafi forces are pouring into Bani Walid with the sound of gunfire and explosions coming from inside the city. Earlier clashes erupted in Barak. From there we have this report.
Told us the town of Barak was safe, but it wasn't. We're in this town that is partially under the control of the rebels, but there are other parts of it that still remain loyal to Muammar Gaddafi. Obviously, it's a situation very fluid at the moment. Opposition fighters entered Barak Thursday morning, part of an offensive to gain control of the last loyalist strongholds in the south around the city of Sabha. Before the gun battle took place, it seemed peaceful enough. Barak resident Masoud Hasnawi, a self-confessed revolutionary, pointed out to me all the parts of town that still supported Gaddafi. It seemed like most of it. But those here opposed to Gaddafi hate him with a passion. Sabha native Elamin Ishtawi burned the first books by the deposed leader he could get his hands on, then shot up his likeness and stomped on it. He returned just a few weeks ago from studying banking and finance in the UK to join the revolution. He's looking forward to going back to Sabha.
It's my hometown. For 3 years I don't been to Sabha. This is my first time we need to go to Sabha. I'm homesick for Sabha.
Outside the Barak air base, the second largest in southern Libya, an inferno of exploding munitions. Opposition fighters captured the base Wednesday night, but incoming rockets ignited thousands of artillery rounds buried underground. Inside the base, dozens of boxes with Soviet-era SA-14 surface-to-air missiles stored in the base's prison. Casualties among the opposition fighters have been relatively light. Resistance half-hearted, commanders say.
They are just running. When they see us, they just run like rats.
They've taken several prisoners. Abu Azum Sakar has been handcuffed to an unloaded machine gun in the back of a pickup truck. He told me most of the people in the area are still with Gaddafi. As for him, he said he's with whoever brings back electricity and water. Reinforcements are pouring into Barak from around Libya, pickup after pickup of fighters, amassing for, perhaps, the final showdown. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, Barak, southern Libya.
He fled his country last week and now he was wanted. Libya's Transitional National Council was set to visit Niger, where they hope to convince the authorities there to send Saadi Gaddafi back to Tripoli. But since Saadi Gaddafi, the third son of the fugitive dictator, is not amongst those wanted by the International Criminal Court, coupled with the claims that Saadi is in Niamey on humanitarian grounds, it is not clear whether the wish of the new Libyan government will be fulfilled.
Representing the National Transitional Council sometime today. They haven't arrived as yet, as far as we know. Government ministers have been meeting today to try and agree what they will do when they do meet with the delegates from the National Transitional Council. It's understood that this Libyan delegation